So good morning, everybody. I am Erica Thaler. I am kind of the MC of this event, and I am COCA's Communications and Marketing Manager. And I'm so excited to be able to present this series of marketing workshops for our year. And we're kicking it off with Lucille Spann, and she is the owner and CEO and head guru and everything for Blaze Digital Solutions. And I've had the great pleasure of working with her through Choose Tallahassee. We work together in a lot of ways, helping share all the wonderful things happening in our community. And she is here today to tell us a little more about marketing in the digital age. And so I'm going to hand it over to Lucille. And I just wanted everyone to know that we are recording today. Once again, and that if you've got questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat and I'll try to get them to Lucille. And this is just going to be kind of a discussion and a free-form conversation. And we are so happy you're all here today. And with that, Lucille.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Yes, I am the owner of Blaze Digital Services. We are a boutique digital marketing company. I am based here in Tallahassee. I do have employees that are around the state, and we work with clients here locally in Tallahassee, but also in other locations as well. So the big topic of focus for the presentation today is on digital marketing. And what I want to share with you guys today are some of the tips and techniques or things that you can do to really bring your digital marketing efforts to the next level moving into the upcoming year. You know, with 2020 and COVID, everybody sort of got pushed to move online very quickly. And so it was a steep learning curve for a lot of folks. And I think, you know, a lot of people were able to make that adjustment very quickly. COCA did an excellent job at moving a lot of activities to a virtual platform. And I'm sure all of you experienced that as well. But just want to, you know, share a few additional ways that you may have not thought of to reach folks, to bring them in and to get your message across. So with that, I will go ahead and kick it off. I'm going to go through my slides, and then there'll be some time at the end for sort of Q&A, and I will do my best to answer to the best of my ability. If I don't have an answer off the top of my head, I will huddle back with my team and follow up with you individually offline, because I'm there, you know, we're always working and learning, and so there may be some things that I'll need to look into. So with that, one of the things about marketing is that anyone really can be an excellent marketer. I think, you know, not everyone could walk into a surgery, you know, situation and perform a medical procedure. But really, marketing is about organization, establishing goals, and then setting benchmarks to measure your success on getting to those goals. So if you are a business owner, if you are the head of your household and pay bills, then you can be a great digital marketer, because really it's just about organization, tracking, and consistency. So with any kind of marketing effort, whether that's in the digital space or in like an in-person capacity, it's so important to set with starting your goals. So whether that's selling more tickets, getting more people to sign up to take an art class that you're hosting, or maybe if you're new and just starting out, getting some brand awareness out there of you want people to know who you are, know what services you're offering. That could even be your goal. And then you want to really think about what things you're going to do to sort of measure that goal. And in some ways that can be really easy. So like obviously tickets sold, but some things like brand awareness, that's where it can get kind of tricky. And if you don't sort of know that marketing lingo or that marketing language, you can get stuck, because like, what is brand awareness, you know? So sort of breaking down some of those things, like, you know, brand awareness is getting more people to know about you. So maybe you're tracking website visitors when it comes to digital marketing, getting more people to visit your website. So there are ways to track that. Social media followers is a good way. Reach on social media. Are, you know, 100 people seeing your post, and maybe then you have a post where 300 or 3,000 people see it. So tracking those kind of metrics to see whether or not you're succeeding in your goal. So I always try to start off with what's the main objective. And so I think that this is kind of a good sort of way to kick it off. Now, with that, a quick overview of digital marketing and sort of what makes it slightly different than maybe other types of marketing that you may do. So, you know, marketing at its core is just the action of a business promoting or selling services. It's actually pretty basic when it comes down to it. But when it comes to digital marketing, really sort of the center piece, the goal is to get and generate website traffic. And there are a number of ways to do that. So one is through optimizing your website for specific keywords. So that way when people are searching online, they can find you easier. Then once you get that website traffic, you know, that traffic to your website, sort of going down that marketing funnel, the next step is to capture them. So now that they visited your website, what can you do to get their contact information so that you can keep engaging with them in the future? So that's sort of that lead capture part of the funnel. And some of the ways to do that is to include a contact form on your website, encourage people to sign up for an e-newsletter that maybe you send out. This could also be downloadables. So for one of my clients, Choose Tallahassee, we created relocation guides. And so you can download a relocation guide for free in exchange for providing your name and email address. And so now we've got this database of people that we know at some level are interested in relocating to Tallahassee. And then we can follow up with them through whether that may be through emails or through mass texting. And then that final goal is to actually get that client. So to have them actually book that service or actually sell your product to them. So that's sort of the holistic view of digital marketing. And then next, I'm going to talk about some of the go into a bit more specific details and give you some really actionable things that you can actually walk away from. I always like when I'm a webinar participant or attendee that I can actually walk away with tangible things that I can immediately start implementing. So the next couple of slides are breaking down some of these steps that I talked about, and I've included some checklists and some resources that hopefully will help get you in the right direction to really build your digital marketing strategy going into 2022. So quick overview of the strategies I'll be talking about today, and it's okay if you know nothing about them because we're going to dive into it, but it's SEO or search engine optimization, blogging, social media, and email. Social media includes organic and a paid strategy. And so these are the things that you can do to help build all of those elements of that funnel that we went down. Driving traffic to your website, getting traffic to come back to your website, following up with people once they've found out about you, and then ultimately getting them to convert to become a client or to buy your product or service. So starting out with SEO. So this is one of those acronyms. I always try to avoid acronyms whenever possible because I know it can be really overwhelming and sort of like learning a new language. But in the simplest of terms, you can go on and Google and, you know, what is SEO, but it's making small changes to your website so that Google likes you and sends you more traffic is honestly like the simplest way to think about it. And so it's things like for COCA, their homepage, you know, they want to be known for Tallahassee arts. So it's making sure to include that keyword, Tallahassee arts, arts in Tallahassee, local Tallahassee artists, where to shop locally. All of those are the kinds of keywords that you want to be making sure what your business is. You'll want to sit down and sort of write a list of what you want your business to be known for and figure out what people are searching for so that you can make sure that that content is on your website. So when people are searching for it online, you're the one that's coming up. And there's an easy way to do it. I'm going to give you a shortcut. This free tool, neilpatel.com/SEO analyzer. It's free to, you can get a free account. It's at no cost to you. You do have to give your email address. And then you can, if you like it and you want to dig more into this, and this is really something that you're interested in doing, you can get a paid plan. It's pretty inexpensive. I think they have like a one website plan, and then you can get a little bigger plan, and sort of the cost goes up as you manage more more websites. But for most small business owners, they're just managing one website. And I always love software companies that provide a free sample so that you can see if you're really going to use it and stick with it before you commit to buying something. They do have a month-to-month plan, or you can get an annual plan as well. But all you do is you go to their SEO analyzer, you put in your website, and it's going to give you a report in list of all of the things that your website is currently doing well and ranking for, and all of the things, more importantly, that are tweaks or changes or fixes that you need to make on your website so that it is more optimized, so that more people can find you easily online. So that's going to be a really important tool to kind of use to make sure that you have those correct keywords and titles and descriptions on your website so that people are finding you. Just to kind of put it in a bit of real world perspective, I have a client that I've been working on optimizing their SEO for the past year. So once a month, we write blog posts for them. Once a month, we go through and analyze each of their pages, and we'll refresh old content or add new things to their website. And their organic search traffic has increased from 25% to 50% of their traffic overall in just a year. And their traffic has increased by, I think it was 120% year over year. So from last year to this year, all because we made these little tweaks and these little changes, adding keywords and adding relevant content to their website. So that's kind of my shtick for why it's important and why you might want to consider working it into your digital marketing plan.
We have a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Pam Dothick wants to know, is it just Google, or are you just using Google as an example of a search engine?
So Google is the biggest search engine and the most used search engine. It does, when I say Google, the same could be applied for Yahoo or for Bing, but the traffic is so small from those sites. Now it may be that when you get into it and you look into it, you have a lot of traffic coming from Yahoo and Bing, and then it would be the same process, but you would just want to optimize for those search engines as opposed to Google. But Yahoo, I know, and Bing both do have sort of like an analytics dashboard similar to Google Analytics that you can use as a resource to determine where that traffic is coming from. So great question. A few resources. So obviously the Uber Suggest, which is that Neil Patel one that I was mentioning earlier, where you just put in your website and it gives you a list of everything that you're doing well and everything you can improve on your website in terms of SEO. If you have a WordPress website, which I know a lot of people do. Yep. So Yoast is a plugin you can actually download to your site. And it's, what I love about it is it's super simple. It gives you red, orange, and green, like stoplight indicators on how each of your pages are doing from an SEO perspective. So you download and activate the plugin on WordPress, then you put in what your keyword is that you want to rank for each page. So whether that's Tallahassee Arts, and then it's going to tell you how you're performing in terms of that keyword for that specific page. And then the other one, kind of back to Pam's question, is Google Analytics, but you could use Yahoo or Bing or whatever search engine where you're getting most of your website traffic from. And that's going to tell you how much organic traffic you're getting, which will kind of tell you overall how you're doing toward improving the search engine optimization of your website. And then I believe Erica is going to send out after this deck to everybody. So I'm not going to read through it, but there's sort of like a checklist. This is almost a condensed version of what that report is going to give you. So when you're adding contents to your website, or if you're going through and refreshing your website, this is just sort of a good thing to make sure and go through and say, okay, have I done each of these things, whether that's for a page on your site or a blog post, to make sure that it's optimized and going to perform as best as possible.
I just wanted to jump in and say, that there are a lot of really, really great suggestions in here. And so when I send out the list, I'm going to send out to all the attendees. And if you've got questions, you can reply to me. I'll get you right in touch with Lucille. But, you know, just on a side note, there's lots of things that COCA can help provide for you, especially if you have a WordPress site. We've got this calendar sharing. We've got links to, you can have links to other resources, to all kinds of things. So this is just such a good introduction into how, like, us continuing to share all of our information really helps everybody's traffic. Pam,
That is
also,
such a good point. That's such a good point, Erica.
well, I mean, when we, like for you, we're giving you the calendar and you share it, and it helps your site. And that's great because my content is helping your site. We love it. Pam also would like to know, what is organic traffic as opposed to other kinds of traffic?
Oh, good question. So organic
Pam's
traffic.
a smarty.
Yeah. So organic traffic, that would be the traffic where you go to your website. Let's say you're looking for a new pair of shoes and you want red shoes and you want them with a 1-inch heel. So you type in 1-inch red heels into your Google search bar, Yahoo, Bing search bar. The results come up. You click on the result. That would be an organic search. Now, if the results come up and at the top there's an ad that says, buy shoes from DSW, we have thousands of red heels, and you click that ad, that would be paid search. And so there's, and then another type of like popular traffic source. So we would have organic search would be a traffic source. Paid search would be a traffic source. Within paid, there can be paid from like a Google ad. There can also be paid traffic from social media. So if you're running ads on Facebook, there can also be organic social media as a traffic source to your website. So let's say you put a post on Facebook as your business, you know, so excited to announce our new concert series coming up in 2022, click for the lineup. And one of your Facebook followers clicks that link. That would be an organic social media traffic source. So there's lots of different sources that sort of track where your traffic comes from. That's where Google Analytics comes in. So you can kind of see where that traffic is coming from and where it originated from. So that way you have a better understanding of who your audience is and where they're coming from. It also gives you an understanding of maybe where you can work a little harder to get more traffic from that source. If you know that there's a lot of people that are relevant to your product or service there. So that's a quick breakdown of some of the different options of where traffic might come from to your website. So a second great digital marketing technique that you can use to help drive traffic to your website and also keep people on your website and engaged is through blogging. So one of the primary, Google has like an algorithm of all of the different components that they use to rank websites and how they're going to serve your traffic up. So one is how frequently you're keeping your website up to date and how frequently you're updating the information on your website. So blogging is really beneficial because it's indicating to Google or the other search engines that you are keeping your website up to date. It's not stagnant. You're constantly providing new information. And so that's a positive indicator that they should be sending traffic to your website because they know that it's up to date and relevant. So if you wanted to get started with blogging, you know, I think it can become really intimidating and people sort of want to do it on the fly. And so maybe you have like a lull, you know, you have a slow season and then a busy season. So during your slow season, you're doing great. You're pumping out a blog post a week. You're setting aside time, then all of a sudden things get busy and crazy and you're traveling a lot or you're out on the road or whatever, and then it sort of falls by the wayside. And that's sort of like the cardinal sin that you want to avoid. So it would be better to post less regularly, so once a month, but be consistent about those 12 posts, than it would be to post, you know, once a week for 10 weeks and then drop off the face of the earth. You know, that's a very negative indicator to Google and to the search algorithms. So what you can do is in your slow season, maybe write all of those 12 blog posts, but then you just schedule them to go out once a month in a regular and consistent pattern. Once again, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just have a comment on that. So, and you don't necessarily, I mean, this is more of a question comment, but like for COCA, our blog posts are our Democrat articles that we write on behalf of the Democrat to promote the arts community. We basically take that content and then we put it on our blog and then we link to the Democrat and do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. And then we link that blog post to our newsletter. So everything is like this like internal circle. So you don't have to necessarily create, original content. It could be things you're already producing in the community and you just tuck that into a blog. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So repurposing content is a big one. And that's really helpful when it comes to social media. You'll
Right.
see how all that comes together. So rather than having to come up with, a post a day for every single day of the week, you can refer back to the blog piece that you wrote, and maybe
Right.
you focus on one key paragraph of that blog each week, each day of the week. So you're not having to reinvent the wheel. So yes, content repurposing is always a great way to sort of extend the life of your content and also cut down on the work that you have to do. Because I'm a small business owner. I know that it can get crazy and you're wearing many hats. And so whatever you can do to sort of ease up on that is a great option. So as far as free tools, I'm big on free tools or trials and that kind of thing. As you can tell, I think those are so useful. So answer the public if you're kind of getting stuck on what to write about, because that can be hard. A lot of times it's most difficult for people that are really close to a subject. So I will hit a wall when I have to come up with, oh, I need to write 12 posts about marketing. Like it can feel really overwhelming because I'm too close to it. So answerthepublic.com, you can put in a keyword, digital marketing, and it's going to give you all of the searches that people are looking for at that time around that keyword that you put in. So, it could be something like, what is digital marketing? How has digital marketing changed in the past year? All of these different topics. And then those can then be my subject for my blog post, or those could be your subjects for your blog post when you put in that keyword. And what's great about it is, that people are actively searching and looking for content around that keyword at that time. So there's an audience for it, which is really important because you don't want to write content and then nobody read it. So you want to be writing around content that's really relevant. So we've got a little, once again, helpful checklist on the side. So as you're going through and writing your post, just a couple of things to consider to sort of optimize that blog post. If you're not a writer, and not everybody is, and that's fine, you can kind of come up with the general topics that you want to be featuring on your website, and you can outsource it. So Upwork is a great platform where there's a lot of freelance writers, digital marketers, tech folks. And if you give them the list of topics and about how many words you want written on it, they'll write it. You pay them, then you can use that content for, for your blog or for your website or, for whatever. So recognizing not everybody, you don't have to be good at everything. You just need to know how to find the resources to fill that need. So there are things that I'm not great at. I outsource those things. And I would encourage you guys to do the same rather than try to take on something that you just absolutely hate. That's going to be a waste of your time. You're going to get frustrated and you're going to give up. Another great thing to think about in terms of blogging. So yes, you can create great content for your website, but if you really are strapped for time, but you want to sort of get the benefits of people seeing that content and linking back to your site, then I would try guest blogging. So maybe COCA could even help with that if they are looking for, an expert on some piece or some material or, to help with their blog, maybe a Q&A type thing. You can be a guest blogger, then they're going to feature you. They're going to link back to your website. You're getting all of the benefits of blogging, but without that commitment of having to come up with 12 posts for the year or 52 posts for the year. A resource, if you're looking to sort of be that expert and participate in guest blogging, is HARO, Help a Reporter Out. So if you Google Help a Reporter Out, you can sign up, and I think it's every morning and every evening, you'll get an email, and it's all journalists from all over the world, from like USA Today to like smaller sort of like niche publications like, like knitters of Kentucky. I mean, like so it's quite a range, but all of them are looking for subject matter experts around specific topics that if you reply to it, then you would become their subject matter expert and they would feature you in their post or on their article. And so it's a great thing to just kind of get it, it's one email, you get 100 emails a day, you scan through it. If you see something that looks interesting, and especially if it's a bigger publication like USA Today or New York Times or something like that, you can go ahead and respond with, whatever questions they're asking about that subject matter. And it's a great way to potentially get some coverage and to reach a new audience.
Could you give me the name again? I'm going to type that into the chat.
Yeah. Help a Reporter Out. And it's HARO is their sort of like what they go by, HARO.
Neat.
Yeah. And so that's a good one that I used a lot in my PR days in the past. But yeah, awesome resource.
I'll find the URL for it.
Awesome.
Neat.
So next up is organic social. So digital marketing, everyone, you got to be on social, you got to be posting 100 times a day. It can become all consuming. So this is why I kind of go back to that original slide and that original goal of what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Because it may be that organic social media is a very small piece of your overall goal. You may find that you love Instagram personally, but if you're not actually like Instagram can be one of the most difficult platforms to use as far as getting people off of the Instagram platform. And they've been adding all of these features for shop and that kind of thing. But when you think about all of the time and effort that you put into creating these beautiful Instagram posts and coming up with this copy and these captions and all of that, organic social has its place, but I would encourage everybody to really think about the amount of time that you're spending and think of any ways that you can shortcut or repurpose content, to Erica's point, so that it doesn't become all consuming and taking all of your time when you may be getting a lot more website traffic, a lot more leads, or a lot more clients from other sources.
I want to throw something out there that we've just started using, which has been kind of great, is that Constant Contact that we already is, one of our big marketing expenses, because it's got a big platform. We use it obviously for our emails, but they have a really good social share tool. And I have found it to be fantastic for those of you that use Constant Contact, because you can customize and you can include LinkedIn in there, which I just love. Great. So LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And then like there's a bunch of other ones too you can add. But I just wanted to share that because they've been pushing that really hard. So it's been a really good platform.
That's great. So that's Constant Contact.
Constant Contact.
Awesome.
I mean, they're really trying to get in, instead of using Hootsuite, which, I found was actually kind of difficult. We've used Facebook. Obviously you can use Content Creator to do Instagram and Facebook at the same time. But a lot of our stuff, we use Constant Contact. It's been a really, really good scheduler.
That's great. That is great. And if you already have Constant Contact, then that's even better.
Yeah.
And if a lot of you do, then that's great. Another paid social media scheduler, because I definitely recommend batching content and scheduling in advance, is Loomly. It's one of the most low cost ones. It's probably very similar to Constant Contact, but that's another one. It posts to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, nice. Instagram. I think it does Pinterest as well. So that's another one. And Sprout Social is a big one, but it can be very expensive. And I think Loomly is a lot more affordable for folks. And then obviously, as you had mentioned, the free one, Facebook publishing tools, if you wanted to use, if you don't have Constant Contact or you're not ready to invest in a paid platform.
One of our attendees is saying MailChimp does social share. This is obviously everybody realizes that there's money to be made, to keep you on their platform. But these are really great.
Canva resources. Is another one. So if you have the paid version of Canva, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but graphic design creator, you can make flyers, social media posters. I've used them for printed pieces as well. Like we did a pop-up banner for a client for a conference at the end of this month, and it turned out beautifully. So Canva is another one that has some integrations as well for social media scheduling. So might be worth checking out too. And then I wanted to just quickly show you like what batching looks like. So that would be creating your content, like sitting down and taking a couple hours to create all of your content for the upcoming month or 2 months or 3 months in advance. So there's a lot of different things you can use. I honestly just use like a Google Sheets spreadsheet, put the month, then I put the main topics, then I put the subtopics, and then what the post goal is. And I think that's important too, because once again, you always want to be thinking about what the goal is and that overarching goal and how you can get there. So, you know, likes are great, but you also want to get comments, you know, for that reach and engagement. You also want to get traffic, you know, like to generate sales. So this is just an example of personally what my content plan was for the month of May. And it's a mix of things. So like my topic for the month that I was really focusing on was SEO. You know, what is it? Components of on-page SEO, components of technical SEO, of that free tool, which I shared with you guys, Uber Suggest, to analyze it. Then there's a couple holidays, then more like lifestyle, get to know me posts, because people want to work with people that they like. So I think it's important, even as a business, to not just focus on business 24/7, but also talk about who you are as a person. And then some sales posts as well, right? Like I want to get clients, you guys want to get clients or make sales. So also talking about, you know, encouraging people to visit your website and actually, you know, book a consultation call or make a purchase. And then these are just a few free tools that you can use to help make social media faster and more efficient as well. So Canva for creating graphics, and they even now have a video creation tool as well, and you can schedule posts through them. So Linktree is for Instagram specifically,
Yes.
and and that's a great one, but because Instagram makes it difficult for people to link out to more than one thing. So this allows you to where that URL is in your bio, you can, and this is free too. You can get a paid version with like a custom branding, but there's the free one's fine to start out with, but you put in that URL, then when people click it, you can actually, there's buttons that you can create so that it can link to your website, to your contact page, to a search page for real estate, you know, a home valuation page. So different places where you want people to access your resources.
I have to say that I did not know about Linktree either until about a year ago, and we added it. And basically, you know, a nice thing to do is find someone aged, you know, 18 to 24, and then, you know, if you don't have experience in Instagram, and then start messing with it yourself, and then start seeing what things look like, and that you can create story bubbles on the top and use Linktree. And once you start doing it, it becomes really easy. But find somebody who likes Instagram as their, I mean, they'll tell you immediately. And there's all these cool things now too, that you can like design your cover page. And I mean, you can go crazy on Instagram, but again, I found it really helpful to use it myself, and then find, you know, somebody that used it as their primary platform was really helpful for me.
That's great. That's good feedback. So 2 other resources you can use for content creation when it comes to social media. Pexels.com. There's also Unsplash. If you have a Canva profile, there's a lot of free images and video that you can use there. But Pexels.com, I actually like the interface a little better than Unsplash. I find it easier to like search for things. And they do have a different, you know, some of the stock images are the same, but they also have some new and different stuff too. So I had a client who just didn't have the funds to invest in video, and I did an entire Thanksgiving video for them that was all stock video image. You know, so you can, if with a little digging, you can find a lot in there. And then IQ hashtags. So that's another great one to use So obviously with Instagram, growing your audience and finding new audiences. So with IQ hashtags, you can actually search for hashtags to find out how much, like what the volume is of those. And there's sort of a little, what's it called, like guide to follow, where some of the hashtags that you use, they're going to have like 1 million people have used those hashtags, so it's going to be really hard to rank in the explore page with that hashtag, because so many people are using it and so much bigger accounts. So with IQ hashtags, you can actually search for hashtags that would be in your niche, would be relevant to your audience, but maybe only 1,000 people have used that hashtag for. So then when people are on their explore page or looking for contents around that, it's a lot more likely that you're going to come up on that explore page, even if you're a smaller account. And that's going to help you get a bigger reach and gain a bigger audience. So that's a great tool, IQ hashtags, to sort of use to find new relevant audiences. This are, with every post, I think it's really important from a structural perspective to include a call to action. So once again, going back to that goal, what is it that you want people to do? What action do you want people to take? It's always okay to ask people, like if you don't ask your spouse to do the dishes, they're probably not just going to do the dishes on their own. But if you ask them to do it, it's likely they're going to do it. The same goes for social media. If you're not telling people to do it, it's very unlikely people are going to do it. So it doesn't hurt to ask. And these are some different ways that you can ask without it sounding like, really comment, share. So spread the word, tell a friend, don't keep this to yourself. So just feel free to grab these, swipe these, and use these in your posts. So Facebook advertising. So 3 ads, and this is more of like the paid strategy. So if you have a budget, Facebook advertising is a great way to generate leads. And there's 3 ad types that I recommend everybody sort of test out when they're getting into Facebook advertising. It's very easy to just hit boost post and let Facebook pick it for you. I'm not saying that's bad. Facebook has gotten a lot more sophisticated in their ability to sort of understand what it is that you're likely to want and who their audience that you want to reach is. However, if you do take a little more time to build the ad out in Ads Manager, there can be a lot of success from that as well. So it's worth, if you're spending the money anyway, it's worth sort of testing out. So one would be running a video campaign, and that is more for brand awareness. So that would be cold leads, people who don't really know about you. So video is a great way to get the word out about who you are. And so maybe you have a little promo video for your business. Maybe it's something as simple as like, a slideshow of still photos that you create with a little background music. But video campaigns, it's a very low cost. You can typically send out a video campaign and it'll be like 0.02 to 0.04 cents per view. And so low cost way to reach a lot of people. What's great about it is as you get more sophisticated with it, then you can do a retargeting ad for anybody that watched, let's say, 15 seconds of your 30-second video. So then you can use that audience of anybody that watched 15 seconds of your video. Now you're sending them another ad that's, hey, check out our upcoming, event calendar, or check out the events that we're doing in 2022. And so what's great about that is, with that retargeting campaign, you're reaching people that at least have some awareness and interest in your organization, product, or service, because they spent the time to watch your video. And then a traffic campaign. So if you are trying to, last minute boost ticket sales, or, trying to get last minute signups, a great way is to run a traffic campaign to send people to your website. So if you're kind of playing around or interested in Facebook ads, then those would be sort of the 3 that I would start with. You also don't have to start with big budgets either. So, for a video campaign, you can do like $5 a day, and you can run it, you can monitor it and check on it. When it seems like, views are slowing down, or it's starting to get expensive, that cost per view starts increasing, you can turn it off. But $5 a day is pretty low cost. Traffic campaign, you can run that for $5 or $10 a day. And then retargeting is great because people already are interested in you. So it's keeping that audience that already knows about you re-engaged. And so you can retarget anybody who's been to your website before, follows you on Facebook. You can retarget friends of people who follow your Facebook, with the idea being, oh, if these people are interested in us, probably their friends would be interested in us as well. So that kind of helps you reach each of those funnel. Cold leads with the video campaign, warm leads with the traffic campaign, and then get people to convert through retargeting.
I was just going to say that when COCA does our Facebook ads, we target, because we reach the 100-mile radius, but we also target some key, some drivable areas. So we target like Atlanta and Orlando and Jacksonville. And then we also have a huge list of like people that like classical music or rock music or painting or art or dance. And then I just have that listed as like my set of,
Nice.
I typically use that. And then whenever I post, and $5 or $10, it's just consistent and it works great. It works great. And then you also learn really quickly what people hit on.
Yeah.
You learn super fast what content is engaging or not. So it's a great way to practice with $5 or $10 here or there.
Exactly. So last component of digital marketing is email marketing. So, we sort of talked about website being the center, how to drive traffic to your website, how to keep people coming back to your website through blogging, keep people engaged and top of mind through social media. Email marketing is a great way that similar to blogging to get people to come back to your website after they've been there. So top of mind, that's going to be critical. So it used to sort of be with email that you'd send out an email to your list and it was like a one sort of shot in the dark. You can monitor open and click rates and then that's it. But now you can set up email automations, or a drip campaign is another term that can be used to follow up with people on a more consistent basis and nurture them so that eventually they'll take the action that you want them to take, which would be to convert, to become a client, or to buy your product or buy your service. And so sort of what that would look like is somebody comes to your website, they sign up for your quarterly e-newsletter, which is great, but your quarterly e-newsletter, maybe that only comes out once a quarter. And so you don't want to have them not hear from you for like 3 months if you had just sent one out. So what you can do is set up like a welcome email series. And maybe that first one goes out, welcome, Erica. Thank you so much for signing up for our quarterly e-newsletter. Here's a little bit about our organization, so that you can get familiar with it. Over the next week, next couple weeks, we'll be sending a series of emails. Then, you can schedule the next email to go of the series to go out a week later. Here are some resources that you can explore. Then the next email, hey, are you interested in setting up a one-on-one meeting to discuss ways that we can work together? So, and that automation, basically it's triggered anytime somebody subscribes to your list. Then that series, that automation, which you have to write and build out one time, then goes out to every future person that signs up, and feels very personal and feels very natural. And so then people feel like, oh, they really get to know you, they get to know the business. And so that one-time setup of that series of emails welcoming people to your community will have major implications long-term for them staying involved and staying a part of what you do. And we found that to be incredibly beneficial with a number of our clients. We send, like the Choose Tallahassee, for example, they get that relocation guide. Great, one time they get the guide. After that, they get a series of 5 emails. It's about one every 10 days that goes out that talks about the job market in Tallahassee and where they can go to find a new job, if they're interested in relocating here, what the education system is like and what their options are from pre-K all the way up to Ollie, which is has learning curriculums for retirees and senior citizens. So, this series of email that really introduces them to all aspects of the community. And then what happens is they get to the end of that email series. And then they email and say, hey, can we get in touch with a realtor? And that's happened on numerous occasions. And that's something big. Like, you know, to get people interested in like relocating is a lot harder task than maybe to, you know, invest in like a smaller dollar thing. So that's kind of how you can use email automations to, you know, one-time upfront you know, time and effort to build it out, but the long-term effects of that, you can use it over and over again. So quick recap, and then we'll have time for Q&A. I do see some things in the chat, but you may be holding on to something. You know, it's all about consistency and testing and measurement. There's no one size fits all. What works for one client, for one business, for one industry may not work for you. I think it's really important that you walk away from this not thinking, oh, I have to do all of these things. It would be better and more beneficial, especially if you're a smaller organization, to just pick one of these things to really focus on and to hone in on and get really strong at. My preference, and this is because I'm in digital marketing, and one of the things that we do is with search engine optimization, because we have seen the biggest gains and the biggest benefits for our clients by improving content on the website and making those small changes. It has drastically increased website traffic for all of our clients across the board. And so that's a great way, you know, to get a bigger reach and to get more people in your marketing funnel and get engaged with you. But any of these strategies, depending on what your business are great as far as getting into digital marketing and getting your name out there online. So I just kind of did a quick recap here, which you guys can read through. And with that, we can open it up for Q&A.
Lucille, there's a couple questions in the chat. Dana Gay wants to know about talking a little more about email list segmentation, and then also tips for increasing the opening rate.
Sure. So email lists and segmentation. If you don't mind elaborating a little bit more on that, and then I can talk about increasing open rates. So with open rates, it's really all about the subject line. And there's actually a number of like free materials that have, you know, 100 of the most clicked emails in 2021. I always like to use those to get ideas, because typically you can take it and then you can tweak, you know, it'll be like, last chance for this sale, you know, and maybe you're not doing like a sale, but it can be like, you know, last chance to attend this webinar for free. You know, people like free. So really it comes down to your subject lines. And if you've got a boring subject line, or the subject line's too long, you know, most people, at least with my clients, most people are visiting client websites and even my own website from mobile. So you want to think about, does that heading actually show up fully on a mobile device? Another great, you know, some things that you can do is asking a question. So people get intrigued and they want to know the answer. So using a subject line with a question can be a good way to increase open rates and get more people involved. Also, personalizing it using you won't believe you know, how this can, or did you know, or so using the word you has also been shown to increase open rates as well. Another thing that I think is underutilized when it comes to increasing open rates is the pretext header. And so you don't necessarily have to use whatever the first sentence is in your email. In fact, I like rarely, if never, use that. I'll try to once again think of what the most tantalizing, intriguing thing is from that email that maybe didn't make it in the headline, and use that as the teaser for the pretext header. And then the last thing is testing. So with an automation, you can't do this, but if it's like a one send, like if you're sending like a one-time send out to your list, with most services, and if you have an email service provider that doesn't do this, I would recommend either upgrading or finding another provider. Most of them do it, but doing testing of 2 different subject lines. And I would say the key is for them to be starting out, start with things that are drastically different. And see, like, because you'll be quite surprised of the one that you like. I mean, you want them to both be good, but they can be drastically different. Using emojis has been shown to increase open rates as well. But you want them to be really different. And then as you kind of get a feel for like what people are opening and what people are clicking on based on the test that you're running and how that works, let me just back up really quickly. But how that works is you would put in 2 different subject lines. Typically the test will go out to maybe 500 to 1,000 people if you've got a list of 5 or 10,000 people. In the first hour, it'll run a test to see how many people opened this subject line A versus subject line B. At the end of that hour, excuse me, that first hour that it gets sent out, whichever one was higher, it'll send the email out under that subject line that performed better. Sorry. And so that's a great way to sort of test and see what's working better and what's going to help improve your open rate.
I just put a quick little note in the chat too, that pre-header, like for our emails, you know, we kind of do the same thing every week, but I try to call out like the 3 things I think are like the most important. And then I found that I can grab that pre-header copy and then plop that right into my social share with a couple little updates, add some hashtags in, tag choose TLH, and then it makes a perfect, perfect information to go along with the pre-header.
I just opened the chat and I see Nicole Hoffman had asked, a 40% open rate for a weekly e-newsletter is incredibly strong.
Yeah.
You are going to reach a point where you will not get higher. And a lot of that depends on the size of your list. So if you're sending to 300 people versus 3,000 people, I would expect the open rate would be higher for 300 than 3,000. But depending, I would do some research. If this is being pushed from higher ups to increase your open rate, I would encourage you to do a little research on what industry averages are for open rates for whatever sort of sector you're in. Because 40% is very high, especially for a weekly e-newsletter. Like, I mean, I don't know what you're putting in there, but like it must be crack for your audience, because that seems very good. 2,500 contacts. Yeah, that seems really good. So maybe look into your industry and see what averages are. I do know in non-for-profit, they are higher than for-profit organizations, but this seems very good. This seems very good, Nicole, to me. So I don't know how much more you'll be able to do to really improve that. The only thing that you could do is review your entire email list of 2,500 contacts. And if there are people that haven't opened the past 6 emails, you can remove them from your list. Because maybe, you know, the idea being they're no longer interested or they're no longer engaged, and only you can decide what that number is, how far you want to go back. But you don't want to keep a bunch of people on your list that aren't actually engaging. One, it's costly to you because typically with those email platforms, you're having to pay for the number of contacts that are in there. And 2, it does pull down your open rates. So you do want to go through and sort of clean up your lists on a regular basis, maybe once a quarter. And that will then increase your open rates. But then once again, you're decreasing your overall contacts. The idea would be you're taking concentrated efforts to add more contacts and get more people to sign up that would be more engaged. And maybe you would see a small blip in increasing your rate from there.
So do you see the note about the website with the great subject lines? I'll type it in. Valerie Goodwin wanted to know.
What was it? Subject
website
line
that had really good catchy subject lines.
Oh, I'll have to go back, and you're talking about like the list. I have I think a PDF of that list saved somewhere. So I'll send it to you afterward and you can send it out and share that with people.
Awesome. Right. And just so everybody, I've had a couple questions. We're going to send the presentation, a copy of this recording. If I can grab the public chat, I'll include that as well. And I know Lucille has been like, she's a wealth of information. So I'm sure she would be a great person to look at, or maybe you take a minute to talk about like your business and what you do and how people can reach out, to you if they want to use your services.
Sure. So Blaze Digital Services, boutique digital marketing agency. I started at probably the worst time to, oops, is everyone still there?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
we're just
okay.
not sharing.
I just closed the presentation and then it went black.
Yeah, we're all still here.
I started probably at the worst time ever to start, which was the beginning of the pandemic. Prior to launching my own business, I worked for 6 years for Visit Florida in PR communications and in their digital marketing departments. And loved that. Still have some great friends over there. Then went and worked at a real estate company as their marketing director, at FSU Alumni Association as their marketing communications director, and got about 10 years of experience under my belt and said, I'm ready to go out on my own. So it just so happened that when I was ready to go out on my own, a pandemic hit. And I was very worried because at the beginning of the pandemic, as some of you know, many marketing people were losing their jobs. And so I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. But very quickly, that sort of shifted from marketing people being let go to everything moving to digital marketing. And things really just like took off after like month 2. So we focus a lot on search engine optimization, and a lot on content and strategy. So I think one thing that makes us different than like other agencies, marketing or advertising agencies that you hire, is we're not so focused just on one specific task or one specific thing. Yes, you can hire us to run your Facebook ads or your Google PPC ads or optimize your website or write content for your website. But we really try to take more of a holistic approach and sit down with you and say, what are your annual goals? What is the big strategy? And outline what the milestones are throughout the year. We only take on a certain number of, like a specified number of clients. And we typically just do, we do some per project work, like for building websites or something like that. But for the most part, we are a long-term solution, especially when it comes to seeing a return. We deal with a lot of like service types of organizations. We work with a lot of tech startups, not non-for-profit organizations. So we're not dealing with products, tangible products. So there is a longer term. So typically we'll do like 6-month and year-long contracts with folks to really track and measure and know that, yes, we are making improvements. We are seeing your website traffic increase. We are building out email automations so that you're getting more leads. And then we can actually track that all the way to sales. So we work with, real estates and realtor folks. And then, like I said, a lot of like tech startups and entrepreneurs as well. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. We are online, blazedigitalservices.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram if you want to connect with us that way. On our Instagram account, we do at least once a week, sort of like a tip or a free guide or how to. So if you're looking for free resources or keeping it in-house, I would encourage you to go follow the Instagram account just for the freebies.
And again, if anyone, we're going to follow up with everybody. This will all be available. Lucille is amazing. I would strongly encourage everybody to take a quick peek at the Choose Tallahassee site. Please know that your arts, events, and experiences are being broadcast out, through Lucille's hard work. So we've created that partnership to help showcase, what you're doing as well. So we all kind of are in this together, and I'm really happy that so many people came to take advantage of this. And Lucille, we could not be more grateful, more grateful.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's been great, and hopefully you guys learned something new or have a new resource or tool that you can use moving forward. That's always my goal.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We are just exactly at 12 o'clock. Thank you again, and we'll get back with everybody. And I think we're good to go. Thank you again, Lucille.
Bye. Thank you.
So gratitude. All right. We'll see you guys later. I'm going to stop recording.